Over the past weeks and months, we have seen some really concerning things happening in South Africa. Not that what has been happening over the last 26 years hasn't been concerning. Any rational person right now has to sit back and ask yourself, what exactly is holding up this house of cards commonly known as South Africa? What is keeping it going? I think we can get a pretty good idea by asking just one other question and looking at the answers we get. The question is, what does any stable and prosperous country need to be stable and prosperous? I guess we can start at the top. I would say at the top we need a competent government who has the best interests of the country and its inhabitants at heart. Does South Africa have this? Not in a million years. What we do have is a 100% corrupt, 100% incompetent, and 100% self-serving government. I would say that any stable and prosperous country would need a competent and unbiased judicial system. Do we have this? I would argue no, we don't. We have seen many cases lately where the judiciary have made decisions that simply make no sense at all from a legal standpoint. We have seen many cases of total prejudice towards the minorities, particularly whites. I'm not going to name cases, but anyone can do a little research and see for themselves. There are many such cases. I would say that any stable and prosperous country has to have a competent and unbiased law enforcement. Do we have this? The answer has to be no. Our police force is neither competent, neither honest, nor unbiased. In fact, the SAPS, or South African Police Service, has been recognized as the most corrupt organization in the country. They have almost no authority and abuse their powers on a daily basis. This includes the traffic police all over the country. Bribery and corruption is part and parcel of daily business with both. What's happening in Piet Retief now is a perfect example of this. I would like to say that any stable and prosperous country needs well-functioning departments, such as the Post Office, Communications, in our case that would be the SABC, and a host of other government service departments that serve the public. Do we have these? I say no, definitely not. In fact, I don't know of a single government entity that is not corrupt, not bankrupt, not incompetent, or just plain non-existent. The Post Office is basically dead. The SABC is basically dead. Home Affairs is on its last legs. A government-owned arms manufacturer has gone from a business that produced some of the best armaments and military aircraft the world has seen to a bankrupt mess where the assets are having to be sold to pay the employees' salaries. Who knows what the employees do there these days to earn a salary? I would say that any stable and prosperous country needs a well-functioning revenue collection system. Although I know that there is massive corruption and incompetence within SARS, I also know that because SARS is the last remaining source of revenue for the thieves in government, they have outsourced many of the systems and skills they need. In this way, they are still able to keep fleecing the taxpayers, but even that will come to an end when things come to a head in this country. I would say that any stable and prosperous country needs a skilled, well-equipped and well-trained defense force. Do we have this? You've got to be kidding. The South African Defence Force is the biggest public embarrassment this country has ever seen. In fact, they are an absolute laughingstock to anyone who has any military experience or knowledge. They are ill-disciplined, generally grossly overweight and out of shape, badly equipped, badly trained, and in many cases, its members together with SAPS members have been implicated in crimes such as cash-in-transit heists and hijackings, amongst others. I would say that any stable and prosperous country needs a strong and stable economy. Do we have this? No, we don't. Not by a long shot. Unemployment has reached epidemic proportions and businesses all over are closing down by the hundreds every day. Homelessness amongst all population groups is already sky high and on the increase. The South African economy is on its knees and toppling over right now due to extremely bad practices, corruption, and things like BEE and BBEE. I would say that any stable and prosperous country should have a good education system. Do we have this? You must be joking. The education system in South Africa was recognized long ago already as one of the worst in the world, even worse than most third world countries. Qualifications from our universities are in most cases not recognized by other countries, and graduates need to undergo bridging examinations before they can practice in other countries. I would say that any stable and prosperous country has to have a well-functioning public health system. Do we have that? Well, anyone who has had the misfortune of attempting to make use of the public health system would know, without a doubt, that our public health system is absolutely atrocious. It is a well-known saying that if you want to die, go to a public hospital. I know of cases of people dying in these hospitals and are only discovered dead after a few days. That is how little attention is paid to patients in these hospitals. I could go on, but I don't think there is any point to it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that South Africa has one path to follow now, and that is total failure. In fact, we have already failed. What you see now can be compared to the decomposition of a dead body or a dead carcass. The country is dead. It's the decomposition that we are witnessing at the moment. Show me one government success story and I will show you the unicorn I have for sale in my backyard. Everything that was once holding South Africa up has been demolished. You can compare what is happening here to a game of Jenga, the pub game where you stock wooden blocks up in a heap on top of each other and then take turns in slipping out one block at a time here and there, until eventually the whole lot comes crashing down. What we are seeing now is the heap of wooden Jenga blocks coming crashing down, but in super slow motion. The sad truth is that South Africa cannot recover from this mess with the ANC or any other political party in power. It is not the ANC as a political party that is to blame. It is not a lack of money. The government officials at every level have stolen more money from the state coffers than the GDP of most small countries. So what is it then? In my opinion, it is the people itself. You could change the regime in charge as much as you liked. Nothing will ever change. This is Africa, and this is what happens to African countries when they are run by Africans. There is not a single African country that even comes close to being a prosperous country. Most are poor, with very bad infrastructure, low life expectancies as compared to white European countries, and it does not matter how rich these African countries are in natural resources and minerals either. The result is always the same. We whites living in South Africa have had a great run while we ran everything. That is generally what happens when white Europeans run a country. They tend to prosper, and everyone else around them does too. Look at what was Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe. It was one of the most beautiful and prosperous countries in Africa, and was known as the breadbasket of Africa. What happened when the masses took over? The place turned into a giant ghetto where poverty and starvation is now the norm. South Africa has been taken over by the masses, and they have done the typical African thing and turned it into a giant ghetto in the making. There is no way to escape it. As long as Africans run a country, it is guaranteed to fail or at least be a poor and struggling third world country. So what do we do if we are not happy to live in a country where nothing works, where you are not welcome, and in a country where everything you have is slowly but surely being taken away from you? Well, we could at some point end up in a civil/race war, whether we start it or not. How that will turn out is debatable, but one thing is certain. Many, many lives are going to be lost. Can we afford that? We could do nothing, carry on as we are, and all end up with nothing. And as I explained in a previous video, just disappear into oblivion by attrition, because that is where we are heading. In my opinion, if we the white and any other minority groups want any kind of future on this continent on a long-term basis, we simply have to govern ourselves. There is literally no other way. If we want any kind of future, we are going to have independence from the rest of Africa. The only way to accomplish this and to ensure that we survive is secession. Secession is the only solution that makes any sense at all, because in Africa, Africans will always vote for Africans, even if it means poverty and starvation for everyone. So forget about voting out the ANC or any other black political party. It's not going to happen. I would like to make an appeal to each and every one of you to support all the secession movements except those run by political parties. As I said earlier, there is no political party that could possibly solve our problems. Politicians in South Africa are just there to draw a salary, no matter what party they represent. Please remember to like and share this video on as many platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do it now. If you would like to support my channel, in the description field of this video, I have provided ways in which both local as well as international listeners can make a contribution. If you would like to make a crypto contribution, also in the description field I have supplied a Bitcoin as well as an Ethereum wallet address. If you would like to contribute any other cryptos, shoot me an email to the address also in the description field and I will supply you with a relevant wallet address. If you are a Zapper user, simply pause the video and scan the Zapper code. Any and all contributions will be very much appreciated. To all the amazing people who do contribute to my channel, I say a huge thank you. Until next time, be safe out there.